ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Srimad Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 verse 18. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha sanshritah mam atma pardeheshu pradvishantah abhyasuyakah. Taking shelter of false ego, bodily strength, pride, lust and anger, the demons hate me, the Supreme Soul, who resides within the bodies of the saints, whose hearts are always dedicated to serving me. They attribute faults to saintly persons' good qualities. Lord Shri Krishna has been describing the nature and the activities of the demoniac people, that how they do not consider the injunctions of the scriptures and do everything based on their own mental speculation. They are so deluded by their arrogance, their strength, and their opulence that they don't consider anyone anything in front of them. That's what we have been discussing. And now Shri Krishna states in this verse, what to talk of ordinary people? They even hate me, the Supreme Lord. Why? Because they are so deluded and bewildered by the false ego. What ego? That I am everything. Because of their wealth, because of their bodily strength, beauty, their material knowledge, or birth in a very powerful family, because of all of these things, they develop the false sense that they are very powerful and they don't have to submit themselves to any authority. This is specifically true for those who are very powerful and very rich and the so-called upper strata of the society. And we typically see that such people are not very God conscious. Those who are great scientists, they also are typically not believers in the Lord. Today, atheism is increasing. What is atheism? Atheism is when we do not believe in a supreme power. Well, we may not belong to a specific religion because many times people get very frustrated because of the false narratives by so-called religious leaders when they see so much strife and problems in the world because of religious conflicts. People tend to lose faith in such so-called religions. But that should not mean that we should deny the existence of a supreme power. As we've been discussing, that with basic logic, one can understand that this entire complex creation cannot come into existence on its own, when behind every thing that we see in the world, every type of even the smallest gadget, some engineer has made it. So how can this gigantic universe with so many complex machines like our own body come into existence without a supreme engineer, the Supreme Lord? But we are nowadays so deluded by our technological advancement and by all that we have at our disposal for sense enjoyment, that we do not accept the Supreme Lord. What to talk of accepting Him? Those who are demoniac in nature, they actually hate Him, they speak against Him, deride Him, and they also blaspheme those saintly people who are with great love and sincerity worshipping the Supreme Lord. Shri Krishna says that I am residing within the heart of the saints. Govind kahena mama Vaishnava paran. Lord says that the devotees are my life and soul. I reside in the heart of my devotees. So such pure devotees, such saintly people who are dedicated to serving the Lord, they are also verbally and sometimes physically also tortured by such demoniac people. We have seen even in recent years countries in which authoritative rulers put devotees of Krishna in jails, tortured them, and they also persecuted other religious people. And this is going on even today. This is because of their ignorance and arrogance. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ji explains in the commentary that a demoniac person, being always against God's supremacy, does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So see, the point here is that they are not only in denial of the Supreme Lord, they're actually envious of Him. Just like Ravan or Kansa or Hiranyakashipu. These were great powerful demons, and they were so against the Supreme Lord. They not only denied His existence, they declared themselves to be the Supreme, and they were so envious of Lord Vishnu. They wanted to kill Him. Hiranyakashipu performed such great austerities for almost 60,000 years, not for the purpose of self-realization, not to become pure, but to become more powerful so that he can also fight with Lord Vishnu and kill him. They are so demoniac, they are so foolish that they do not understand that one who is the creator cannot be killed in any way. So, Srila Prabhupada says that this is caused by his so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and strength. See, the nature of wealth, the nature of power is such that it blinds us. We fail to see what the reality is. The reality is that we are temporary and all our possessions are also temporary. And with every single moment, we are getting closer to our death. But we fail to accept it. As we have discussed many times, there have been so many powerful kings who, for the purpose of fulfilling their ambitions of having a large kingdom, caused so much bloodshed. For most of their lives, they fought ferocious wars and controlled large swaths of land. But they also died, most of them in very miserable conditions. Were they able to keep hold of those lands? Or do their progeny was able to keep control of those lands? No. But even after reading these histories, we still fail to accept the fact that all our possessions will be taken away from us, and only because of those possessions, only because of that material wealth and power, we become so deluded that we do not even accept the Supreme Lord and become so envious of Him. So such demoniac person does not know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. See, this is something very important to understand. This precious human life that we have received after having transmigrated through 8.4 million species of life has been given to us for a very, very special and specific purpose, and that is self-realization. To understand who we are, where did we come from, where will we go after death, who is the Supreme Lord, what is my relationship with Him, and how can I re-establish that relationship. Why? Because we are eternally His servants, we are His part and parcel, but we have forgotten it now. So that is the purpose of human life. But we waste this life in the pursuit of temporary material wealth and objects. So not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. So here self means one's spirit soul. So in fact we are causing more harm to us by our demonic nature than even to others. Why? Because we are paving the path for hellish life. Many times within this life, and then of course in the next life, we would have to suffer for so many lifetimes into hellish life and hellish conditions and hellish planets. So this is being envious of oneself, causing harm to oneself. So such a person does not care for the supreme control of the personality of Godhead because he has no knowledge. Being envious of the scriptures and the supreme personality of Godhead, he puts forward false arguments against the existence of God and denies the scriptural authority. So nowadays, there is so many so-called erudite scholars and scientists who question whether there is a supreme power, because they think that by their scientific theories they are able to explain how this world came into existence. But again, we have discussed this many times, all their logics fail to actually describe how life came into existence. But even with their rudimentary illogical theories, they develop this false pride that they are able to explain the creation of the world, and therefore they don't think that there is a need for a God. He thinks himself independent and powerful in every action. He thinks that since no one can equal him in strength, power or wealth, he can act in any way and no one can stop him. If he has an enemy who might check the advancement of his sensual activities, he makes plans to cut him down by his own power. So again, all the demonic people that we have seen, or authoritative rulers in the past and today, when anyone questions their authority, they try to destroy that person with their power, not knowing that all their actions are being recorded, are being seen by the supreme power, and sooner or later they will have to pay for their sinful actions. So what happens to such demoniac people, Shri Krishna explains in the next verse. Verse number 19. Tan aham dvishatah kruran sansareshu naradhaman kshipami ajasram ashubhan asurishu eva yonishu. Because they are envious of such saints, I perpetually cast those cruel and degraded persons who perform most inauspicious acts into mundane existence among various demoniac species. So now Shri Krishna is explaining that because of their being envious of me, the Supreme Lord, as well as of my pure devotees, They are perpetually, means forever, to take birth in lower species of life, in demoniac species, and suffer so many different kind of miseries. See, the Lord can tolerate if someone blasphemes him, says something abusive against him, but the Lord cannot accept if someone blasphemes his devotees. So one should be very careful not to criticize the devotees or to be envious of him, especially those pure devotees who have dedicated their lives for spreading the teachings of the Lord all over the world. This is called Vaishnav Aparadh, and it is also called like the mad elephant offense. Just like when a mad elephant walks through a farm, then all the beautiful crops that have been grown with so much effort, they are trampled under his feet and everything is destroyed in minutes. So similarly, one is completely destroyed if one criticizes pure devotees of the Lord. And here the Lord is saying that because such demonic people are envious of my devotees, of saintly people, they are cast into hellish life. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ji writes in the commentary that in this verse it is clearly indicated that the placing of a particular individual's soul in a particular body is the prerogative of the supreme will. The demoniac person may not agree to accept the supremacy of the Lord, and it is a fact that he may act according to his own whims, but his next birth will depend upon the decision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not on himself. Again, a very important point to understand, that we can choose to deny the Supreme Lord's existence. We can choose to perform sinful activities. We can choose to blaspheme his devotees. Right? We have that independence. And that's what demoniac natured people do, thinking that they're so powerful that they can do all of these things. But they do not control their own destiny. The destiny is not only what we achieve in this life. Our destiny is what we get after this life. Within this life, one may become a very powerful person, may become very rich person by all corrupt means, by hurting others, by killing others, right? But then he will have to suffer for those sinful actions. And the next life is in the control of the Supreme Lord. The world runs not by our rules. It runs the universe. This entire creation runs by the rules of the Supreme Lord. And his rules are strict. And they apply to everyone, irrespective of who we are. Just like if we are actually living in a country where the rule of law is strictly followed, then everyone, whether it's a poor man or a rich man, would be subject to the same rules. Of course, nowadays, any place where one is, even in so-called advanced countries where they supposedly rule of law, people who are in power, they get away from all their criminal acts because of their wealth and power, right? Because of the connections, they get away. But no one can get away from the rules of the Supreme Lord. Sometimes that suffering starts within this life. There was a very powerful dictator who completely denied the existence of the Lord, to the extent that he had written this down everywhere, that God is nowhere. In his office, in various buildings, in his own rooms. God is nowhere, because he said, I can do anything. At the order of him, many people would be put to death if they did not accept his authority or did something that he did not like. Now, well, slowly the time came when he was about to die, and he was lying on his bed. His family members, the top doctors of the country, all his military generals were around him. They're trying to save him, but slowly he's sinking. He's losing grip of his body. Someone who with an iron fist controlled a huge country now was losing control of his own body. He asked everyone assembled around him that, do you want me to die? And they said, no, we don't want you to die. Maybe within their hearts they may be wanting him to die because he was such a cruel dictator, but of course they on his face said, no, sir, we don't want you to die. And that time he said, oh, for the first time in my life, I am realizing that there is another power which is so much more powerful than me. Even though I do not want to die, none of you want to die, and we are all doing our best that I can live, but life is slipping away from my hands. And that time, in front of his bed, they had this phrase, God is nowhere, and that W, which is with where, got connected with no, right? So it says, God is now here. So he now realized that no, there is a supreme. There is someone much more powerful than me. Sometimes such demonic people may also realize, and actually this is one reason why we get problems in our life. We get difficult situations because otherwise we would never turn towards the Lord. That is the nature of a living entity that becomes so engrossed in material sense gratification that completely forgets the Supreme Lord. Then, out of great compassion, out of great mercy, the Lord gives him some difficult times, and then the person realizes that I am not able to come out of this very difficult situation by all my capabilities, my plans, my wealth or power, and then people go to the temple or to the church and they pray, right? So, but then there are those who still do not understand. So, Srila Prabhupada states that the next life is not under our control. It is given to us based on our acts and as per the laws of the Supreme Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, it is stated that an individual soul after his death is put into the womb of a mother where he gets a particular type of body under the supervision of superior power. Therefore, in the material existence, we find so many species of life, animal, insects, men, and so on. Right? So it is not that there is only one form of life. There are 8.4 million different types of species. In Vishnu Puran, it describes the 8.4 million types of species. Jalja nav lakshani sthavraha lakshvinshatihi kirmeho rudra sankhyankaha pakshinam dash lakshakam trinsha lakshani pashvaha chatur lakshani manushaha. That there are 900,000 species of aquatics, and then there are 2 million species of different types of plants and trees, 1.1 million types of species of different types of insects, and then 1 million species of birds. Then there are 3 million species of animals and 400,000 types of humans. Now this classification is based on the level of advancement of consciousness, not just the physical features. So all this is arranged by the superior power, and one may get birth in any of these species of life based on one's past actions. So birth in a particular species is not accidental. But Srila Prabhupada says that as for the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of demons, and thus they continue to be envious, the lowest of mankind. Such demoniac species of men are held to be always full of lust, always violent and hateful, and always unclean. The many kinds of hunters in the jungle are considered to belong to the demoniac species of life. So, well, in one sense, we are making our destiny by doing sinful or good actions. Now, if we are intelligent, we will engage in loving devotional service of the Lord, so we can become free from the reactions of both good and bad actions, and then completely become free from the cycle of birth and death and go back to our real home, the supreme abode of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, have a very blessed day.